to take you now live to the OR Tambo International Airport, where FlySAfair has cancelled about 8% of its flights this morning. This as more than 200 of its pilots go on strike. Our reporter Ntokozo Khumalo is now joining us live from the OR Tambo International Airport with an update. A very good morning to you, Ntokozo. It's normally very, very busy at the FlySAfair service stations. What are you seeing at the counters this morning?
Good morning, Aldrin. Well, busy as usual. I'll move out of the shot just so that Kay can show you. We do have queues that are snailing along really for departures. A flight to Cape Town that's due to take off at 6:30, as well as Durban 6:40. Durban another 6:45. Those gates are closed. We did see a slight delay in an earlier flight, about a 20-minute delay, but the attendants here just assisting the passengers go ahead with their check-in. There's also some slight delays, but that's mostly at the security gates when they're going through to boarding. I did speak to FlySAfair earlier this morning just to get insights on some of the cancellations that passengers might expect. The statement they're reading that about 8% of today's flights are being cancelled due to that strike action by the pilots. We understand that it may now be at least 2 weeks that the strike action does take place, with Solidarity saying the initial plan was actually for them to only go on strike for 1 day. But because of that 7-day lockup by the airline, forcing then the pilots to prolong that strike action, they're also saying that it's the airline that is prolonging this action because they do not want to allow the Commission for conciliation, mediation and arbitration to help and solve these issues. And Aldrin, we know it is on the back of wage and work conditions that the pilots say FlySAfair is not willing to come on the negotiation table. They are looking for a 10.5% increase as well as alteration to their working hours. And in the statement from FlySAfair saying that their pilots are amongst the best paid in the industry, earning anything between 1.8 and 2.3 million rand per year, and that they get other benefits on top of that and fly for about 60 hours when regulation caps it at about 100 hours. So the airline's standing firm that the pilots are well compensated for the hours that they put in. So we are looking to hear from Solidarity. As I understand it, both Kirby representing the airline will be at the airport here at OR Tambo a little bit later on this morning. So will Solidarity, to just sort of get insights or monitor how then the strike action is impacting the flights that are taking off today and for the rest of the week, Aldrin, if this issue is not resolved. But so far, about 8% of the flights having been cancelled. We are going to hear from Kirby exactly what flights those are, and if we do expect any postponements or cancellations later on today, Aldrin.
All right, Ntokozo, I'm going to ask you to just stand by there. We're going to introduce Helgard Cronje, who is Solidarity's Deputy General Secretary, who is also joining us for this conversation. A very good morning to you, Helgard. Thank you so much for making time for us this morning. You just heard from our reporter coming live from the OR Tambo International Airport. It's already a scramble this morning. But just quickly on the statement that has been released by FlySAfair, as she has now referenced that as well. FlySAfair making the argument that its pilots are amongst the best paid in the country.
Look, I mean, it's no secret. We haven't hidden it. We've basically said that SA they pay just more than Airlink and just less than SAA. So it's no secret. I've seen the salary scales that they've quoted. And it's strange that they would quote the top paid captains only, not the whole salary scale. So they are selective in the information that they share. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's no secret that the pilot is a well-paid individual. We haven't contested that. That's not the issue at hand. I think what's important to note is that they can double that salary if they go international. And that's the issue. They are losing pilots to the international market. We aren't saying that they should pay them the same as international pilots are being paid, but it should be more competitive. That's the one side of it. The second side of it is that essentially these pilots made sacrifices during COVID, and SAFAir abused COVID to basically manage their salary level down by 10%. At the back of that, they are making hundreds of millions of euros of profit for the international shareholding company ASL, which they've been sending overseas. So, I mean, it's not a question of profitability. There's justified reasons behind why the pilots feel this way. And 90% of our members support this strike action and are willing to strike for 14 days. I think the other part that SAFAir for basically wants to hide or seems to downplay is the fact that they issued a 7-day lockout notice. So essentially we issued a 1-day strike notice and they hit our members with a 7-day lockout notice, which is proportionally or is disproportional and an overreaction. A lockout means our members can't go back to work even if they wanted to. Our 14-day strike notice was in reaction to that, and that 7-day lockout notice was on the condition that they should accept the 5.7%, otherwise it would be extended by 7 days, which leaves us at 14 days in any event.
And just sorry, Halhart, just for clarity here, if there is a 7-day lockout and your members are going on a 2-week strike, where would FlySAfair be getting pilots from to run its current operations? Because the statement that they've just released this morning was that it's only 8% of the flights that have been cancelled.
Yes, look, I don't know how many of the flights have been cancelled. It's strange, last week they said that there would be no impact, and they held that until late last night. That statement was issued late last night, I think at between 10 and 11 o'clock, where they started cancelling flights. But throughout the end of last week, they indicated that there would be no impact to the public. I know that in the background they ran a process of trying to find out how many of our members would be accepting the 5.7% after they issued the lockout notice. I guess that the response wasn't what they expected, and that's why they delayed the process of informing the public as to what the impact would be. They have 1/3 of their pilots. They basically have 100 pilots, more or less, give or take 10 or 20 to one side or the other side, to keep their flights in the air. Now, if they can keep all their flights in the air with 1/3 of their pilot body, I don't understand why they would have 300 pilots and not only 100.
All right. Let's quickly now go back to the OR Tambo International Airport. Our reporter Ntokozo Khumalo is there monitoring the situation there for us as well. And I can imagine, Ntokozo, while you have this dispute that is going on between the employer and the employee, it is the client at the end of the day, being the passenger, that suffers.
Absolutely, Aldrin, and I am with one passenger that's feeling exactly that frustration. Thank you for talking to us. We were just talking in studio about where the passengers were informed about potential of delays because of the pilot strikes. Were you informed? How is your travel going this morning?
So it's a typical Blue Monday. Absolutely no one's informed you. You stand in the queue. They tell you, okay, you can board at this gate. You go through security. When you get to your boarding gate, it's been open for 5 minutes and then they've already closed it. So you've missed your flight. You've got to rebook, and how do you get another flight?
Yeah, and where are you heading off to now? Are you heading off for business or is it leisure? The delay obviously being an inconvenience.
So I was supposed to see a client at 9 o'clock and then go on holiday. So it's just, I don't know. We'll have to see what we're going to do.
Well, best of luck for you. We are going to follow to just see how quickly you do get assisted with this issue. Thank you so much for talking to us. So, Aldrin, that is just one of the passengers here who is taking a flight. As she said when she was speaking to us earlier, she is self-employed and was heading off to a client before taking a little bit of a break. She wasn't informed of any delays, so she is now going to try and get assistance about rebooking, which is also, while it might for some passengers not be a monetary cost if they don't have to pay anything extra to rebook, but it is that inconvenience of then having to move around your day and move around your schedule, Aldrin, and that seems to be the sentiments here. While on the board, none of the flights that are due to start off anytime soon have been postponed or running late. There is a two Durban flights that are off to kick off at 6 or take off at 6:40 and 6:45, and so far on the board seeming that everything is going on time, but it is also then an issue of passengers who are coming to the airports ready to check in and then being told that their flight is either cancelled or being moved to another time, and then getting through the issue of moving through the border gates, which also seems to have some delays to get through that border gate. So we'll be monitoring throughout the day or through the morning just the extent of some of those delays for the passengers here at the OR Tambo Airport in Johannesburg, Aldrin.
All right, Ntokozo Khumalo there joining us from the OR Tambo International Airport. Halhart, just quickly, your reaction to some of these frustrated clients, passengers who are supposed to take their flights this morning, but also in conclusion, the statement that you have issued that essentially FlySAfair has refused to have the CCMA be part of the negotiations or lead the negotiations, whereas FlySAfair in their statement are saying that our goal remains to reach a reasonable resolution quickly, restore trust and continue building an airline so many South Africans rely on.
Our response is simple. We basically issued a one-day strike notice on Thursday that was escalated to a 7-day lockout by SAFAir. So in that, one can ask yourself who is the aggressor and who is basically who's the reason for these delays, and they are totally the aggressor in this situation. We basically issued the one-day strike notice to get them back to the negotiating table. Shortly after we issued that notice, the CCMA indicated that they want to intervene and approached both parties in terms of Section 150 of the Labour Relations Act to conciliate the matter, because it's a matter that's in the public interest, it's of national interest. We immediately agreed to that process. Up until late last night, there was no response by SAFAir to that process. So the question is, who wants to resolve this? We were sitting the whole weekend hoping that they would respond and that we can get together over the weekend to prevent this. However, there was no response from them. So if you put that together with the fact that they delayed the information they shared with clients and are still delaying to share with clients as to flights that might be affected, it leaves one wondering whether they actually want to resolve the issue.
All right, thank you so much for your time. Helgard Cronje is the Deputy Secretary General or General Secretary of Solidarity on the strike action that they have now taken at FlySAfair. We wait to see what Kirby from FlySAfair has to say. There you have the departure board live from the OR Tambo International Airport. And as Ntokozo has said, that there seems to be no cancellations as yet of FlySAfair flights. As you can see, a Durban flight that is departing.